According to industry insiders, the Blade movie has been cancelled by Marvel. Ever since it was announced in the 2019 Expo, this movie has been in development hell for like 6 years. It turns out that Wesley Snipes' prophecy, being the only Blade there is in Deadpool & Wolverine, has come true once again. The only remnant that we have seen of Blade since this has been in Marvel Zombies, where he played Blade Knight. I was excited at the idea of a new Blade played by Mahershala Ali. I really like the actor and I think he could do a good job. I think there's plenty of stories to tell with a character like Blade, and I think Marvel needs that right now. There's many reasons that people are giving online for this, right? The official reason that you'll see when you Google this is creative differences and script issues plagued Marvel's Blade reboot, leading to delays and director changes. Other people are saying, listen, Blade is just one of the films that got lost in the shuffle as a result of the messy phases. Phase 4 being messy, Phase 5 being a mess too after Endgame. Kevin Feige has said, listen, we are putting time and effort into this because we want to do it right. This is not just a simple movie where Blade puts on a leather outfit and starts killing vampires. This has to be unique. It needs to be different than anything that's been done before. And look, I appreciate that statement because yes, I don't want to see a retread of movies we've seen with Wesley Snipes. I don't want to see a lesser version of a Wesley Snipes Blade movie, right? But sometimes simplicity is genius, Kevin. The real reason I think kind of goes beyond all that. I think the real reason is kind of the same reason why Kevin Feige had to come in and do a complete overhaul of Daredevil Born Again Season 1. There are teams of writers in Marvel that have been working in the last few phases that are on crack, and Mahershala Ali almost quit. And I'm going to say this right now, all the writers that were in charge of this fuck up, and I'm going to tell you the real reason that this happened, all the writers that were in charge of the fuck up with the plots, with the rumored stories for the Blade movie, need to be ostracized from Marvel completely, okay? I don't want to call for the end of anyone's career or any of that, but someone needs to check on the talent and skill level of the people working there because some of y'all are pathetic! Let me tell you some of the proposed plot rumors that made Mahershala Ali almost want to quit Blade. He almost ran away from this project twice because he saw where it was headed, okay? And I truly believe Kevin Feige came in and did a complete overhaul multiple times, causing many directors to leave. That's one of the big things that happened. Many directors, producers, and writers left. They funneled in and funneled out. I think it was as a direct result of multiple overhauls done because they just couldn't get this fucking script right, okay? To get a Blade movie right, you need to follow a simple premise. This is it. You need to have really scary vampires. You don't need to have a Blade movie be R-rated to be good. I'm not saying that, but you should make it R-rated. Badass fight scenes and good choreography, cool vampire lore, and make it an isolated story from the MCU. Don't have random Avengers making cameos and all that bullshit. No. This isn't a typical Disney Plus show. Now, one of the proposed plot stories is Dracula has a daughter named Lilith. Okay? Lilith has played a villain and an anti-hero in the comics, depending on which interpretation of her you see. The vampire Lilith or the demon queen Lilith, which we're gonna get to. Lilith was supposed to be played by Mia Goth. Mia Goth would have been an excellent choice. I love Mia Goth, okay? She was great in the Frankenstein movie. If you've seen the movie Pearl, anything she's in, she's fucking great in, bro. If you've seen Infinity Pool with Mia Goth, you know how scary this shit can get too. Apparently what was supposed to happen was Lilith and Blade were gonna have an enemies to lovers relationship. And the tone of this film would have been completely different than what you would expect from a Blade film. Apparently we would have a horror romance, but with less emphasis on the horror. Here's how it was described. Marvel reportedly wanted a horror comedy with a love story, even involving Dracula's daughter, which clashed with Mahershala Ali's desire for a darker, more serious take closer to the original Blade vibe, which is what everyone would want from a Blade film, by the way, not just Mahershala Ali. So we would have seen basically something akin to the Thor Love and Thunder comedy romance between Thor and Jane, but in a more dark gothic horror setting. Taika Waititi has done irreparable damage to Marvel, to what the writers consider to be good in a superhero film. And listen, it's not like Taika Waititi was a beginning of Marvel doing humor and adding a comedy left and right in their films. It's not true at all, right? Guardians of the Galaxy, you had multiple films doing this. But I truly feel that when these script rewrites were taking place for this comedy romance bullshit, I think they took major inspiration from Love and Thunder when it came out in 2022. Or whenever the fuck it came out. I can see the writing on the wall. This motherfucker has been one of the biggest drivers in the complete downfall of Marvel and their films in terms of quality. It's just a fact, man. It's just a fact. I'm not necessarily against Lilith and Blade having some kind of relationship in a film, but a romance, and especially with comedy at it, this is not right for this kind of character, for either Blade or Lilith. Remember, Lilith is a great horror movie antagonist, no matter what you put her in, alright? She's the queen of demons in one iteration of her, and the daughter of Dracula. Yeah, you can say maybe she would have to team up with Blade against Dracula at one point, but to make it a fucking comedy romance makes absolutely no sense. It's garbage. And the other proposed plot was that Blade would have a daughter, okay? Bloodline or whatever the hell. She'd be like a Dun Peel. She'd be like this unique hybrid with specific blood, and basically Lilith would be hunting her for her blood to use her to help basically free her armies of vampires from the power of the sun. Okay, making them all daywalkers. Blade would be to her what Hopper was to Eleven in Stranger Things, especially the final season, with the daughter taking center stage and this brother being sidelined for a more comedic, lighthearted plot involving the daughter being the main hero of it all. You fucking stupid c***. You fucking morons at Marvel. Who's hiring these writers? Who's hiring these people? I need to know. I don't want to freak out. I'm gonna crash out, man. I actually feel the rage burning inside of me. Oh man, I could do such a better job writing these scripts than these frauds that they have. I know it's easy for someone like me to say sitting here behind the camera on a chair, but guys, listen, sometimes you have to speak the truth and stop being suck-ups and bootlickers to these corporate fucking shills, bro. I'm done. How dare you? Your first Blade movie was going to be Blade replaced by his daughter taking center stage. No one gives a shit about his daughter. Sorry, I know you guys have a whole comic series about Blade training his daughter. Yeah, you could do a Wolf and Cub story later. Imagine the first Wolverine movie that the MCU would do when they rebooted the X-Men would be Wolverine and X-23, and X-23 being the main Wolverine. Imagine that. Imagine how fucking stupid that would be. Imagine Logan being the first Wolverine movie solo X-Men film. Are you stupid? Are you mentally ill? I need to ask this. Marvel, I don't know who the fuck you started hiring in these last 3-4 years. Fire them. I shouldn't call for anyone to lose their jobs, but some of y'all need to be maybe fired. That's what I'm gonna say, okay? You're busy dumping millions of dollars into shit like Vision Quest that no one gives a shit about or asks for. Ironheart. Wonder Man. Who asks for this shit? Now, listen, I'm interested in Wonder Man. I saw the trailer for Wonder Man. I thought it looked interesting enough, but who asks for this? Lot of people have been asking for Blade since 2019. The moment we saw that the title Blade come out in your SDC Expo or whatever, the moment you announced it, people were hyped. Instead, you're funneling money into all this shit that no one really gives a flying fuck about. I don't understand. Like, I know with She-Hulk and all this stuff, you're trying to go more into women empowerment and all that. And look, I have no problem with you wanting to empower women and all this shit, but to fucking take the center stage from the male character that everyone really wants to see, it's low business IQ. You're throwing away money. There's money on the table that you're burning. No wonder Kevin Feige's done with the shit. He's looking at some of the scripts you guys are writing and be like, bro, this is a destitute project. There's no redeeming this. You know what you really should have done, bruv? Instead of trying to make Blade a movie or multiple movies and try to stay away from making it too much like Wesley Snipes, you should have made it into a really dark gothic TV show. A miniseries. You could have really done a lot with that. I think you would have needed it for this kind of story too, especially if you're trying to make it unique and not just trying to make it, one story where Blade goes after vampires. You could have fleshed out a TV show with this dude. 8 episodes, 9 episodes, clean. Here's how Marvel could have done it. They're so low IQ, bro. I'm about to school their entire writing team. You're all fucking idiots, by the way. And every one of you who decided to make, comedy love story between him and Lilith. His daughter and a buddy cop drama with his daughter while Lilith comes after her. No daughter in this. None. No one gives a fuck about her. We're gonna follow Blade as he is. No origin story. He's gonna be a seasoned hunter. Similar to in the Blade movies where we don't start with his origin first. No, he's just in the thick of it. We're gonna do that similarly here, okay? But story-wise, I don't know if you guys have read, and I haven't read it fully myself because I can't read for my life, but there's a story called Vampire Nation, where basically Dracula establishes a sovereign nation for vampires that he rules. Okay, and there's a lot of politics internally, and there's a coup d'etat led against Dracula, and Blade has to stop it because it'll spark a civil war that'll cause complete damage to the humans on the outside world, right? It's a very cool storyline, and you can't really I wouldn't do this in a movie, especially a first solo outing, but a TV show, it could work. But here's how I would do it. I would actually isolate it more. If you want to go the movie route, make it in the style of Dread, where you have a one-man wrecking crew going into this, basically this territory with this gang of enemies coming at him. But to flesh it out in a TV show, here's how I would do it. You know how Mama in Dread was like she's like the major gang leader, the queen of this entire fucking building that she's running, and Dread has to get to her and stop her and kill all of her underlings, right? Something similar could happen here, but a bit more complex, okay? If you want to make it complex, Kevin, I'm going to show you the key to how. Lilith is the queen of the damned. She's ruling over vampires. Specifically, she runs a large vampire coven in the specific territory, in the specific land. They agree, and this has been a long-standing political agreement between them and humans, and maybe you can say some Avengers struck a deal here too. This is a deal. Stay away from humans, and we'll give you blood. A mixture of animal blood and some human volunteers from our faction, from the human factions, offering you blood, so that you have less incentive to come run after humans at nighttime. Stay in your lane, in your coven. Our hunters will leave you alone, you'll leave us alone, it'll all be good. So this establishes a community built on politics, business, and a good city infrastructure for the vampires to live in, especially during the daylight. It's a full-on community, built with vampires and allied humans. How the show starts is Blade, this is like a western almost. Blade is keeping them in line. The moment he walks into that town, all these vampires go quiet. They know not to fuck with this dude. First of all, they can't take him on in a fight. They know he's a daywalker, so he has a complete advantage over them in the daytime. He could burn their entire city down with them in their coffins if he wanted to, right? There's a lot of corrupt vampires in here who are crazy, so he's kind of the one thing stopping them from running out and trying to kill humans, right? And going on feeding frenzies. Lilith is the queen of this place, right? She actually respects Blade. This is how the show starts. She respects Blade, but to a point. She ultimately desires what he has, which is the daywalking ability. She wants that for her own vampires, right? Lilith in this is going to be very complex, a patient ruler, methodical, but a little bit power hungry, and someone who actually has resentment for the humans and wants to expand the vampire horizon. She wants to expand her empire, but she knows she needs to strike this political balance, especially if she wants to keep her rule. She doesn't necessarily want to fuck with Blade, but she knows she has numbers on her side, and she's a very powerful vampire in her own right. So she's almost looking for reasons to have an excuse to expand, if you know what I mean. And some moronic vampire hunters, humans, get carried away, kill a couple vampires, try to start a coup to take her down, and it causes what would be a civil war within this coven, within this community, between the vampire elites that run it and these random vampire hunters. Blade would be trying to keep the peace. He would be trying his best, even though he's a warrior and a hunter above anything else. He'd be trying to have political discourse to stop any type of war from breaking out into the outside world from this coven. But Lilith and the vampire elites around her say this would be a great opportunity to message to our vampires in the coven, saying they declared war on us, now it's our turn to go at them. Sticking a finger to any kind of peace that they've maintained. So this season would basically have a string of events leading to a full-on escalation of war, where Lilith basically declares war on humanity and says, fuck up, we're all the vampires, as soon as nighttime hits, we're going after every human. They did this to us, they tried to cause damage to us and kill our kind, we're going to do it to them. The peace deal is done. And that would throw Blade right in the middle of it. The humans are not doing him any favors, because they're the ones who kind of caused this, but now Lilith is using that as a way to politically garner support for a full-on act of war. And this is exactly what the vampire's been waiting for. They want to go on a feeding frenzy. Now Blade has to fight these vampires off. Well, I don't want to necessarily say we start with Blade killing a bunch of vamps, right? Like you would used to seeing. But we're building into the point where a lot of violence is about to break out. And you know what's great about violence? If you show too much of it and try to make too much light of it, it loses its impact on the audience. But if you build to it, and then when it happens, it's brutal, hard-hitting, and as fuck, and fast too, that's when it's most effective. That's how I would want the violence in this to be. Not just some cool martial arts sequences, but some really badass, dark, brutal violence. And maybe towards the end of it, you could say, okay, Lilith decides to attack Blade personally. They went from allies, neutral allies, to now they're going at each other. And Lilith decides to come after any remnant of his family, and maybe finds out that he has an infant daughter that he's been hiding from the world. And she goes after the infant daughter. And that would force Blade to try to kill her. That's how I would structure a story around this, bro. If you want to make it unique and new, Kevin, because I know you didn't want to have Blade just killing vampires, you can have this political aspect to it too. Now, the other thing is, insiders are saying Blade might not have a movie, but he'll be in Midnight Suns. That's the compromise here. So you're still getting Mahershala Ali's Blade, but he just won't have his own solo outing. Now look, I don't think this is a bad idea. I I want Midnight Suns badly. I really like the dark supernatural aspects of these characters. A lot of street level characters can get their shine here too. Blade would be perfect for this kind of story. He is. This is a great way to make him a supporting character without making his aura gone. Because if you make a movie strictly for him, and then you try to do the shit, oh, he has a daughter that's going to take center stage. Oh, he has a romance. You're going to kill a lot of the aura that comes with Blade and it's kind of make him lame. But if you make him a badass supporting character like he was in the Marvel Zombie stuff, in a live action format, that'd be sick. Imagine this dude whooping up on a bunch of people, showing the rest of the Midnight Suns how badass he is. They have way more powers than he is, like Doctor Strange. Moon Knight has this weird shit, right? Ghost Rider, they have way more powers, but he's way more badass. He's fighting and all that. And you can make her the villain. No longer Dracula's daughter. You can make her the straight up queen of the demons, trying to assemble a demon army, which is perfect because you have guys like Ghost Rider and Doctor Strange in a Midnight Suns story. It's perfect! So I'm fine with that. I actually like that idea a lot. I just find it shameful what Marvel tried to do with Blade. Sideline him in his own story. No wonder Mahershala Ali wanted to leave. No wonder Kevin Feige had no words for this fucking thing. Bullshit. Those are my thoughts on that, guys. Bye. Ladies and gentlemen, we are on a mission to take over Hollywood. But the army must keep growing. If you want to suggest video topics to me, or talk about your favorite movies or favorite film theories in a community with like-minded individuals, join the Zafy Discord now. Link is in the description and the comment section as well. Join us. This movement is just beginning. We're taking over Hollywood, one coke line at a time.